Welcome to the Essential SEO Guide for Private Practice. One of the best ways for you to attract new clients and grow your practice is to be visible on search. By search, I mean search engines like Google, Bing, Yandex, all the other ones. But for the majority of this presentation, I'll just refer to Google. It's kind of the common place. Around 90% of the UK use Google, so it really is kind of number one. However, the same kind of concepts apply for the other search engines as well. I know, especially for therapists, SEO can be a bit confusing. Sometimes you're not sure where to start. So I'm actually offering a free 30-minute one-to-one on Zoom. Just if you've got any questions, if you get stuck anywhere, just don't worry about it. Just reach out to me by going to theoruby.com, get in touch, and we'll have a one-to-one to answer any questions. So the beginning of this presentation, I'm going to look at the theoretical side. I'll show you how it works. And then at the back end, I'll actually jump into the tools and give you more of a live demo. Please feel free to pause the video at any point, and I'd love to hear some feedback. If anything's not clear or if you want me to go into more detail about something, just let me know. Thank you. So the four building blocks of SEO are the setup, which are the tools that come with a website when you launch the site or when you do your SEO. I build websites, and every single one I make sure it has these tools installed. And then you've got your keyword research. So SEO, search engine optimization, focuses on keywords. These are the phrases that people type into Google in order to find you. And the easiest way to explain this is that it's not your website in entirety that's ranking. It's actually the pages and the content are ranking for words that are being typed in. So it might be anxiety counselling or relationship counselling in London, or therapist that deals with trauma, whatever the word is, that's actually what's allowing you to be found. Obviously, as your practice grows, someone might just type in your name or your brand and then they'll find you. But yeah, keywords really are the heart and soul of SEO. Once you've picked your keywords, then the third part is the on page. And this is a very quick intro on how you would optimize your pages. By that I mean make them, shape them so they're ready for Google, so they've got the right words and the right titles and images, all those kind of things. And there's a free plugin I use called Rank Math to do that and make it easy. Then finally, we've got a free technical health check. Here you can just put in your website, put in maybe a keyword, and then you're going to get a full analysis of your site. It's a really good starting point, and it's a nice way to find out if there's anything you can do for some quick wins to be found on search. So we're looking at the setup. We've got Google Sitekit, which is a WordPress tool. You've then got Google Search Console, Google Analytics, and then Bing Webmaster tools. Google Sitekit, as I mentioned, is a free plugin from WordPress, and it really allows you to connect everything. So it's going to get your Search Console, your Analytics, and a few other things all on your website in a few minutes. Setting this up used to take a couple of hours, but now with this tool it really does take less than 10 minutes for anyone to do. It also gives you visibility in the website, so you don't have to search around, you don't have to remember any other logins or anything else. And it uses the most recent version of Google Analytics called GA4. I've got a separate video on that on my YouTube channel. If you are looking for Google Analytics, get in touch and I'll send you the video. But yeah, I'll show you how this works later, but I can't recommend it highly enough. Then Google Search Console, kind of says it in the name. This is showing you how you appear on search, how many times you're being found, clicked, how many times you're being viewed, the pages people are going to, and the queries they're typing in. It's a free tool. You can leave it running in the background. I call it set and forget. So you just have it up from when the website's live, wait a few months, look at it, see what's going on. If there are any issues with how you appear on search, it's also going to let you know. And it's also, you have something called a sitemap, which is where you put all of your pages together in a big list. You give it to Google and you ensure that everything's being listed, so things aren't being missed off. If you add new content or new services, new pages, it just makes sure that everything's covered. So that really is the external side. So when you've got your website, that's how you impact the external view of your website. And then analytics is the internal. So this actually shows you when someone's going to the site, where they're coming from, how long they're spending. This is all of the stats and figures and all of the kind of fun stuff about how successful your site is, how people are using it, they're traveling across the site. There's a lot you can do with this, but again, and it's another set and forget tool. So it's very, very important to do this from the beginning. Just leave it running in the background, and then maybe after 6 months review and see what's working. It'll also show you if there's any weaknesses. So if there's a particular page people are landing on and then leaving the site and going somewhere else, it's going to highlight that, so then you can find out ways to improve what I call your conversions. But at the end of the day, it's about getting more clients and making sure that the clients stay with you and come back to you. Then finally, we've got Bing Webmaster Tools. This works in a very similar way to Google Search Console. It's just for the other search engine. Basically, Bing has about 10% of the UK search, but there's much less competition, so it really will be worth just setting this up. Again, it's free, very easy to do, and it also gives you a very basic but free keyword research tool, which I'll come on to in a minute. The idea is that it's going to list your pages, how many views you get, or your clicks, and actually what people are typing in. You can see down here, it's showing I'm ranking for Marketing Consultant London. So that tells me I can include that on my site. It kind of gives me more information about how I can get the most from my own SEO. It takes a little bit of time. You start to see these populate after about 3 to 6 months. So as I mentioned, keyword research really is the heart and soul of everything. It's important to spend a little bit of time at the beginning, and then when you're creating new pages, when you're creating new content, just think about what people are actually going to type in to find that, because that's how you start to move up and you want to get on page 1 for those search terms. So keyword research really is finding the right words and phrases to enter onto your site, to use for your blog titles, to use for your core pages of your site, so that if someone is typing in a search, you want to be relevant and you want to be visible. All web pages are actually ranked in terms of how relevant they are for the question, the quality of the page, and the trust of the website. I'll go more into detail in that in a more advanced session, but basically your page needs to be of good quality now to be competitive, and you need to make sure that you have the right kind of information, quite detailed, but also very clean and clear. And I think especially now people have less time, so it's not about the longest article, it's more about the quality and the clarity. So yeah, you don't have to write 5,000 words, you can write 500 to 1,000 words of really good, clean, simple content, some bullet points, that kind of thing will actually do you a lot better. And again, it's about giving the user the best result to the answer and answering it as effectively as possible. What I like to do, I'll come back to this later, but really answering that question and making sure that you update your pages is how you are going to get up to page 1. If you offer therapy at, say, a location, maybe you're in a major city, including that on your website, including kind of the map, those kind of things is another important factor. And then even in the search term, so it might be, as you can see here, couples counselling in London, couples training, counselling training. Obviously, you need to make sure that the keywords you use are relevant, and we'll come back to that in a second. But it's really just, are you using the right words? So as mentioned, very few people go past page 1. So really, to be found, to be successful, you need to be found on page 1. You've got your organic, which are your free results, and that's what the core of SEO is. And then you can see right up at the top here, you've got sponsored, and that's where someone's paid for it, so you can kind of ignore that. These two are your organic free ones, and this is something which I personally love. It's called Google Business. On my site, I've got another, on my YouTube channel as well, I've got another video on how to set this up. And this adds to your SEO. This is a really, really good way to give it a boost. Yeah, I'll touch on that a bit later. So take a moment now, pause the screen, type in what you think someone would type in to find you. So it might be your niche and your area, or if you're big enough, your brand, but just have a little look and see what comes up. Also, it's really important to do that in a private browser or incognito, because your computer will try and give you what it thinks you want to see. For example, if I typed in digital marketing, I come up on page 1, but you really need to see a true version of what Google is showing by using something called private or incognito. If you're not sure what that is, again, just let me know. So how do you find the best keywords? You start by writing the seed or the head terms. So these are the more kind of generic top level words, the more common words you think people will be looking for. and then you put them into a tool, and then you find out kind of the nuances and the changes and the ways that you can actually be competitive and find words that are easy enough for you to rank for with enough people searching for it. So this is kind of the core principle. Finding something that's easy enough, say 35 or below out of 100, 38 is just about okay, and then search volume of more than a couple of hundred a month. So this is per month, and this shows you the trend over time. And then also here you've got the intent of the keyword. I mean, you don't have to worry about all this now. I'm going to do a more detailed, longer workshop coming up soon about how to find the best ones. But these principles work on all the different keyword tools. They're all going to use a very similar kind of setup. So you can see here, marriage counselling is 38, marriage and relationship counselling is 37, and marriage relationship counselling is 32. Couples therapy is actually a bit higher. I think it's about 45. But then you can chop and change and try different things. So for example, you might want to do couples therapy London or couples therapy for neurodivergent or whatever it is. It's really about making it specific enough, but also with enough search volume. Thankfully now there's so much tech out there to make it easy, so you don't have to really think about it. You just enter the keywords in, you get the stats, and then we just start pulling them off. This is a service I offer as well, but it's a really, really good way to kind of give your website a boost and just attract the right people. When you're looking at search intent, you want to make sure that it matches the goals of your website, the goals of your content, and I'll come on to that just in a second. So there's 5 types of intent. You don't need to worry about remembering all of these, but really the most important ones for you would be local, transactional, and commercial. So basically informational is when, say, a blog article, you're given resources, someone's doing the groundwork, they're kind of just getting started. Commercial is when they're taking the next step and they're actually looking maybe to purchase, or they're kind of at the next part of the process. Transactional is when they're actually ready to book. So they might be looking for online counselling near me or low cost or whatever it is. And then navigational is when they've got a particular brand in mind. So when your practice is big enough, people might just know the name of it or your name, type it in, that's navigational. But then if they're just looking for general words in a location, it's local here. I'm going to leave this up for a second, but again, you don't need to remember all of it. It's just really thinking about the intent. So why would someone find your resource? Why would someone find your page? And what do you think they'd want to do? But this is a good free option if you want to get started. You might have heard of Neil Patel. It's something called Ubersuggest, and it gives you a handful of keywords, and you can see here you get the keyword, you get the volume, so this is the number of people searching per month, and then you get the search difficulty out of 100. And again, you want to just focus on the light green and the dark green. So I would avoid looking at these two here. That's more for ads. It's not really relevant now. So again, you click on the link, type in what you think the search term is, and you can go through some options. You can try some alternative words. But again, it's a free plan that they try and push you up to a pro plan. That can be quite expensive. So if you're stuck, just let me know and we can do some keyword research. The other option is Backlinko. This basically has a similar thing where you get the volume and the difficulty here. You would type in a word and it gives you alternate words. They're not always related, so it's just a good first place to start thinking about the kind of words. So you can see here, for example, couples counselling is very difficult to rank for, whereas family counselling near me is a little bit easier. It'd be a good one, or family counselling and your location. The thing is, it's hard to use the words near me, so I normally replace those with the location that you're in. Because if they're in Bristol and they're typing in counselling near me, and you have counselling Bristol, they're going to kind of match up. So there's 2 other benefits you get from Google search. If you actually go into the main search bar, you type in the beginning of a phrase, it will auto complete certain words. These aren't things I've searched for in the past. This is just what it thinks people are looking for. So yeah, it just gives you an idea of what's popular, what people are actually typing in. So you have to think the mind of the client. And then you've got related searches. So when you go further down the search, once you've typed something in, it just gives you a list of, I think it's about 10 related searches you can go on, and you can see it might be similar, might be kind of questions. It's a good way to start expanding your reach. In the same way, there's a tool called Google Trends, very similar to Ubersuggest, but it's a free tool from Google, and it will tell you how popular words are, how many people are looking for them, and it's really, if you're trying to, say, get into a niche, or you're trying to what I call catch a rising star, it's a good way to beat competition and maybe to rank for a word that not many other people are ranking for at the moment, or at least less than some of the main kind of big topics. So this is quite an important thing. When you're building a website, some people decide to build a website and then pick some keywords afterwards and kind of add them onto the pages. Other kind of bigger projects, you would start by looking for the keywords and thinking about the client first, thinking about what the client's needs are, then coming up with the keywords, and then creating the pages and the content around those keywords. It's kind of a mix. It's really up to you how you do it. There's no kind of right or wrong answer, but it's just something to think about. So it's either, I call it the chicken and egg, whether you want to create the pages or create the keywords first. So this is a quick practical. You can pause the screen, spend a couple of minutes and just make some notes. So for this, you want to think about some high volume C keywords. So maybe, as I mentioned, just therapy London, therapy Edinburgh, whatever it is, and then start to think about other more niche. The word long tail basically means niche. It means less common, less popular, and then you can include some locations in there as well. The only thing is, if you're too specific, people may not search for it, so that's why we use the tool to kind of find the right balance. In this example, I've picked counselling, relationship counselling in London, and then neurodivergent relationship counselling in London. The fourth one I know is a little bit too specific, but kind of a balance. Yeah, you could do, for example, you could do a page on relationship counselling, you could do a blog on the benefits of couples counselling, then you could have an FAQ page, which is also really good for your SEO. So having a nice kind of list, maybe 10 to 20 good keywords for your site is really helpful. So once you actually put together the list for all the different pages and different blogs you'd like to use, this is looking at how you actually optimize the website. With every builder there is a tool, and my favorite is Rank Math. It gives you this nice kind of green icons. It's very visually appealing. So for Squarespace and Wix, they have their own things which work quite well. WordPress, which is my favorite, you have Rank Math and Yoast, and I'd always go for Rank Math. Any of the sites I work on normally have Rank Math. There you can see how you can actually customize on the right how the website appears on search. So you can change the title and the description. You would pick your keyword, and then you can see here it's actually bolded the keyword to show that it's relevant. So each page needs to be very focused. If you've got a page on childhood trauma, then you want to make sure that all of the titles, the image, everything else kind of matches up, and that page is as concise and kind of complete as possible. And this will help you because it gives you a rating, give you a checklist, making sure that you've done it all properly. There's more I can go into on that, but I think I'll leave that for another session. So as I mentioned, the title and the meta would appear on search for each of your pages, not just your home page. When you start to rank higher on search, Google will actually pick out a handful of pages. You can't pick which ones it's going to show, it automatically does it. But you can see here it's taken my website packages, my CV, my about, my contact, and my guides. And it's a nice way for you to be more visible and to kind of fill up more of the space. So if someone is on search, they're going to see your name, your services a few times. This can all be done very easily inside Rank Math, and there's kind of a process that you'll go through. Once you do it once, you can just replicate that for the other ones as well. Then alt text. So every single image should really have a description. It says here on the right hand side, leave empty if the image is purely decorative. Now, yeah, for 99% of images, it should have something called alt text, alternative text, and that just means to explain to Google what the image is about. And if you can, include the keyword in there as well. So if you've got a page on bereavement counselling, you've got the title, you've got the subtitle, and then you might have a nice featured image, and that might say bereavement counselling, and then maybe a bit of context. So a woman attending bereavement counselling, or bereavement counselling for families, which makes sure that that keyword is included somewhere in the alt text. It's normally quite literal, so you really want to just imagine it's like a computer scanning it and be as literal and kind of focused as possible. And it does make a difference. The amount of websites I work on that don't have any at all is quite surprising. So yeah, please do spend some time and add those in. The title is not going to be visible. That's more for inside the website. It's nice to have something that's relevant, but you want to focus on the alt text. So this is a very quick practical. So what you want to do is Google your business, have a look at the title and the description that come up, and just see, are they relevant? Are they using the right words? And something that I should have mentioned a little bit earlier is you should always put the user first. Think about how they would like to read it. Make sure that the sentence makes sense. Don't just do things for the sake of Google. Always do it for the client. If you're not happy with the description you've got, think about how you can rewrite it, how you can kind of tweak it to work better for your practice. And I'll just pause for a second, and then we'll go on to the next one. So this is a technical audit. It's nice and easy. It's just a way for you to scan your site, get a free kind of breakdown of everything that you can change, everything you can improve in a nice list. There's always going to be errors, even if you've got like a perfect website, there's always going to be errors, so don't worry about that. And if I go here, it will identify issues that will stop you from being on search. Each of them is going to be explained, so you know what to do, or you can just share that with someone else to do it for you as well. And then when it's been resolved, you can go back and do it again, and then to see the difference. So you're welcome to use this twice, once now and once after you made the changes. It's also going to give you a speed score, some suggested keywords, and some extra tips to improve your website, just to give you a bit of a boost. So if you go to theoruby.com/SEO, or scan the QR code there, and you're going to see this banner at the top, get your free SEO audit, and then get a report, click on that, and it will do everything for you. You'll get an email, I think 2 to 3 minutes afterwards, which will give the full report in it. Thank you. So I've actually created a much more detailed course that goes into all of these areas and more. I launched it earlier this year for £99, but I like to offer it just over half price to anyone in the course. So if you'd like that or more information or just some more guides, please get in touch. And then it'd be really good if someone wants to have a look at it, give some feedback. I would greatly appreciate it. Pause. So earlier this year I created a more detailed course. It goes into 7 different areas, including things like local SEO, backlinks. There's a lot of stuff we didn't have time to cover today, and it's out for £99, but I'd like to give it half price for the group for £49. I'm going to be building on that over time, and there's also going to be videos, presentations, FAQs, key links and actions, and also a support group. So if you have any particular questions, you can go on the WhatsApp group, ask them, and within about 24 hours you have your answer. Thank you very much, really appreciate it. So you've got my email and my phone number there if you'd like to book in a one-to-one. I've also got a range of different marketing guides looking at all areas of your website and just your practice in general. So if you want to subscribe or have a look at those, you can go to theoruby.com/news. Now I'm going to stop the presentation and go and give you a quick demo of some of the tools that I mentioned. This is the back end of my website. Don't worry about what you see on the left hand side, but on the right here you can see it's Google Site Kit, and then we've got our analytics data, so how many visitors you have over a period of time, where they're coming from, are they UK based, they're different parts of the world, and what kind of devices they're using. Obviously here we've got mobile is about 1/3, desktop is about 2/3, and tablet is very minimal. And then you've got your search console. This is the internal about your website, and this is the external about search. And this shows you the number of views you've got, number of clicks, number of unique visitors. You'll find that over time this generally increases. The more content you create, the more visible you are. Obviously the more clients and the more views you're going to get. And if you choose to, you can click on these links and you can go directly into the tools. It's just a nice, really nice, simple way of doing it all. This is my paid for SEO tool to show you how basic keyword research would work. So if I do counselling in London, there we go. I'm just going to see how they look. And so you can see you get different results. So you've got therapy is too hard to rank for, really. There's 40,000 people a month searching for it, and it's got local and commercial intent. So again, every tool works in a very similar way. It's just understanding the difference between them. But you can see that the number of people searching for therapy and counselling is different. There's actually more searching for therapy. So if you use particular words on your site, you might actually find by using these tools that you should change or shift the words for ones that other people are using. So you've got here relationship counselling has 6,000. It is much easier to search for. And then counselling in London, and then therapy in London. So for example, if I like relationship counselling, I'll go into more detail. I'm going to drill down a little bit further with that. So now we're looking at keyword ideas, similar keywords, related keywords, so couples therapy. And so what we would do is spend a bit of time going through these, and then you pull them all off into a Word doc or an Excel as a list, and then you attach those to the pages. You say you want a page on couples therapy, a page on a blog on marriage counselling, for example. And again, it's all color coded, so green is good, and generally above 1,000 is a really good place. So 8,000 searches per month is a really good number to go for. So I'm going to go even further. And then what you do is once you find those keywords, you then have a look at the top 10 people on search. This is a little bit more advanced. I'll come into this in another session. But basically, if you want to break onto page 1, you want to see who's appearing, and if any of them are kind of like weak links where you could potentially replace them or compete with them for that spot. Here they're all quite tough. I probably wouldn't use that keyword then because it'd be quite hard for me to get onto page 1. I'm just going to go back and do one more. Let's just do this one here. So when I mentioned about trust at the beginning, about how long your website's been around for, how much trust it's got, you got this thing here called domain trust, and then you would look this one here. So racial and psychotherapy would be someone where I might be able to compete with. It's only got 10 out of 100 in terms of the trust. So yeah, that would mean that there is a gap, there is space for me to potentially be on page 1. And I know obviously this looks a little bit confusing, so what you would do is you'd maybe pick a couple to start with, maybe do your home page, do a couple of pages on the menu, and then it becomes more of a process. Again, you can do it yourself, you can have someone do it for you, but it is really, really worth the time. This is how you get kind of recurring clients. You're going to start to build up a bigger practice and just develop your website basically. Then we're going to have a look at the on page. So I mentioned when you create a page, you can then customize how it looks. So you can change the words for the title, which is this bit here. You can change the words for the description, which sits underneath, making sure to, and then you pick the keywords, and you can see they're all bolded when they appear. Generally, having one good keyword keyword or key phrase, it's the same thing. Having one good one per page is great. The home page, you might want to have 3 or 4, like what I've done here. And then you've got a checklist going down. And again, this tool explains to you what to do. So after you do it once, it becomes second nature, and you can do that for other pages. It literally goes through subheadings, auto attributes, that's the thing I mentioned earlier, and then it lets you know if you've used the keyword before. So if you're not sure, if you haven't tracked which keywords you're using, this tool just lets you know if it is repeated from another page as well, which is great. Then the final thing I'm going to go on to is just some extra guides that might help you. So if you go onto my website and then you go to resources, bite-sized marketing guides, there's a range of different ones for private practice. So you got here, grow your therapy practice in the UK, a step-by-step guide. We've also got easy SEO for counsellors. I believe that's also got the audit link in it, which is there as well. And then if you go further back in time, I've got some other ones as well. Let's find one. I did kind of a little session with Jane Travis about how to develop your therapy website. And if you go a little bit further back, we've got helping therapists find new clients online. This one looks at your social media, your website, all areas of your business, and it gives a nice overview. All completely free, and they come when you go in. You've got a video, audio, and a presentation, as well as some notes, just to give you a little boost. If you like to do things for yourself, it just gives you some of the tactics, the stuff that you can do to really grow your practice. Great. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.